Hey everybody, this is going to be my Runaways finale video and Easter eggs from the season. I'll explain what's going on with season 2 at the end of the video because they were renewed for a second season. I assume it'll also be 10 episodes. So if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get everything. There's a whole bunch of Marvel stuff that's getting ready to drop. But of course, careful for spoilers from the episode if you haven't seen it yet. So the biggest surprise that I saw in my timeline is that episode 10 was the actual finale because it ended on such a non-explosive moment. And you got that flash forward earlier in the season where Chase was almost seeing a version of the future where Los Angeles was crumbling to the ground.
I just wanted to tell you I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all of it. Now please, whatever you do, Dad, don't pick up the Fistigons.
Maybe they'll revisit that sometime during season 2, like they actually have a device that can see into the future. That seems like a pretty big deal. But the real action of the finale was revealing what was at the bottom of that hole that Jonah wanted to get to. Like, what is that living rock that's giving off the energy that powers his body? Like, he gives off this white light, the same energy that gave Molly her powers as a child. And as you probably detected, they've combined Jonah's character with the Gaborum from the comics. So a lot of people are wondering if there's something that's alive at the bottom of that hole, is that the actual Gaborum? And what it seems like is going on is they're using the Church of Gaborum to sort of wink at the actual real-life gods, the Gaborum from the comics, and instead they're turning Jonah into the big bad of the series. He's one of the Magistinians, and instead of getting their power from just general solar radiation, like they absorb the light of the sun and then they could turn that into energy blast, they use it to fly, they actually get their energy from the life force that is trapped in those rocks. But as we've seen through the sacrifices, they can also convert normal human beings into that same type of energy. So there's some sort of life force that they absorb and turn into energy that Jonah needs in order to prolong his life. We don't know how old he is. He seems like he's at least hundreds of years old, if not thousands, and that's why he needs to recharge so much. Because the Magistinians, like, their powers work like a battery, so Carolina can give off those energy blasts, but eventually she'll need to recharge or she'll lose her abilities. Which is why Jonah's freaking out at the end of the finale, because he exhausted most of his energy in that fight with Carolina, so he needs to recharge before he turns back into the flaky white person on the alien respirator. For the most part, it seems like we're not going to meet the actual Gaborum from the comics, and they're using the Church of Gaborum more as a parody of like the crazy cult organizations that you find around Los Angeles. Take your pick, there are many, so it seems mostly like they're winking at that with the church. And it's mostly just a front for Jonah to get the source of his power without access to the actual source, which is buried beneath Los Angeles. Maybe that happened eons ago, like maybe he got trapped on the Earth and he's from another planet, and he just can't get to it till someone's smart enough and the technology's good enough to give him a device that can get him to it. Most of you probably guessed that the pod at the end of the finale has Chase's father in it. He's finally come back to life, so Jonah's excited because it just means that they'll be able to fix the drill and get to his power. The minor change that they've made is because they've turned Jonah into more of the big bad of the series, the parents have become more sympathetic. And if you're confused about who ratted them out to the police, like they're in that lineup, if you know these people, they're connected to this murder, that was Alex's father, where he says, don't worry, I'm going to take care of it. He was trying to do a good thing, but the kids only see that as a threat. So it still seems like they're building towards a fight between the kids and their parents where they genuinely run away from home and become more of an organized team. Like they tried to run away at the end of the finale. The series is called Runaways. At some point, they had to run away from home. If you want to follow along in the comic, obviously they're starting with Brian K. Vaughan's run. If they go enough seasons, they might push into Joss Whedon territory, but most people don't like that run as much as they like Brian K. Vaughan's. They're not burning through the comic book that quickly, and they did kill off a couple of the parents that are still alive in the comic, but that was mostly for production issues. They said there were too many characters for them to handle, so that's why they killed them off. And Molly in the comics is a mutant, but because this whole Fox Disney deal hasn't been worked out yet, they don't have the right to use the word mutant, so that's why her power derives from the source of Jonah's power. But if there was any confusion, Jonah is just a combination of the Magistinians and the myth of the Gaborum in the comics. So I don't think we're actually going to meet the Gaborum. Yeah, but those of you asking how this is connected to the Avengers, like why haven't they talked about the incident, the Chitauri invasion, the Battle of New York, any of the big things that are going on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now, like Infinity War that's going to be happening in a couple months. In the comics, the Magistinians aren't that big of a deal. They're an alien race that are at war with the Skrulls, which is more Captain Marvel territory, Avengers 4 stuff. If you're wondering how powerful Jonah is compared to some of the other Avengers, I would think that Captain America could probably eat one of their blasts. And if you remember Iron Man in that first Avengers film, how Thor tried to shoot him with a lightning bolt, but instead of harming him, it supercharged his armor. I think the same thing would happen if Jonah tried to soak Iron Man with a blast.
Power at 400% capacity.
How about that?
But we'll see if they try to tie their race to stuff that's going on in the Marvel Cosmic Universe, because they do try to connect things when possible, so it would make sense that he came to Earth looking for special power, or he was stranded on Earth because he was trying to escape some sort of war. But as of the end of the finale, they haven't completely revealed Jonah's backstory, so there might be other minor changes that they've made. And aside from them teasing some of the character dynamics, like characters hooking up within the team and some of them maybe betraying each other down the road, the only other real big Easter egg from that last episode was when they gave Old Lace her name from the comics. So that's what she calls her. The way they did it was a little clumsy on the TV show, but they had to get there somehow. Like arsenic and Old Lace isn't something that a typical teenager would be talking about. Either way, it was fine, but just let me know in the comments, what do you think of the series so far? And obviously, Season 2 will probably drop either in November or October. I think they'll get it out before the end of the year, but I think it'll also be 10 episodes. And I know there's a whole bunch of other Marvel TV that's getting ready to start this year, plus DC stuff too, like we have Titans. I have new videos for some of that stuff that I'll try to get out by the end of the week. But while you wait for everything, click here for the new trailer for the Superman prequel TV series. Learn all about Green Lantern coming on the show eventually, and click here for brand new Deadpool. Thank you so much for watching. Everybody stay awesome. I'll see you guys tonight.